Canon is at a crossroads, and the EOS R6 Mark III may very well be the company's boldest gamble in years. Rumors, teasers, and whispers from industry insiders have built an atmosphere of expectation that feels both risky and dangerous. Why? Let's find out before the November 6th launch of Canon EOS R6 III. The EOS R6 lineage has always been about balance. The original R6 was never the highest resolution, nor the most video-focused, but it struck a sweet spot between performance and price. It gave enthusiasts and working professionals access to Canon's cutting-edge autofocus, strong low-light performance, and a package that felt like a baby R5 without the big price tag. The R6 Mark II refined that formula, becoming one of Canon's most popular cameras in recent years. Its snappy AF, reliable 24-megapixel sensor, and hybrid video features made it a workhorse for countless creators. But popularity has a double edge. When a camera becomes that important, its successor carries a mountain of expectation. Now, with the R6 Mark III, Canon seems prepared to step outside its comfort zone. The talk of a new 30 to 32 megapixel sensor, potentially shared with the Cinema EOS C50, has already raised eyebrows. History shows Canon usually keeps clear lines between its cinema and hybrid cameras. Blurring those lines is risky, but maybe Canon is ready to shake the table. So, what are we looking at with the EOS R6 Mark III? Based on what has trickled out, here's the shape of Canon's next mid-tier full-frame. Sensor, around 30.3 megapixels full-frame CMOS, non-stacked. Possibly the same chip as the C50. Processor, dual Digi-C-X plus a Digi-C accelerator, which should bring a significant boost in processing horsepower. Video, 6K RAW, up to 60 frames per second, 4K at 120 frames per second, and support for C-Log 2 and 3. That's a serious leap over the R6 II and creeping uncomfortably close to Canon's cinema territory. Autofocus, enhanced deep learning subject tracking. If Canon's AF is already best in class, the R6 III could raise the bar even higher. A redesigned 3.2-inch vari-angle touchscreen with a tilt and flip mechanism. Subtle but useful for creators constantly moving between handheld, gimbal, and tripod setups. Memory, dual card slots. CF Express for heavy-duty recording and SD UHS 2 for versatility. If this spec list holds true, the R6 III isn't just an upgrade, it's a declaration. Canon seems to be signaling that mid-tier no longer means compromise. But is that really what Canon wants? What we want. The Canon community is anything but quiet when it comes to wish lists, and the R6 III has sparked more debate than most releases. Some photographers are hoping for Canon to keep things modest. 24-megapixel sensors optimized for perfect 4K video without line skipping, minimal overheating, and the tried-and-true ergonomic stability that Canon bodies are known for. Others are demanding bolder moves, stacked sensors, lightning-fast readout speeds, and hybrid features that would go head-to-head with Sony's upcoming A7 IV. There's also a cry for ergonomic refinement. The R5 II gave us one design language, while the R6 II simplified things. Many users now hope for consistency, maybe even a top LCD screen, or at least less fiddly button placement. Video shooters dream of in-camera LUT preview, a feature that cinema users already enjoy on the C70. Still shooters, meanwhile, beg Canon to reprogram the stills/video switch, which they argue flips too easily in the heat of a shoot. And then there's the raw honesty of the community. Some simply want a Canon that feels faster. Faster autofocus, faster sensor readout, faster menus. If it doesn't read out faster than my R6 II, one owner sighed online, I'm skipping it. That sentiment captures the mood. Incremental upgrades won't cut it anymore. The challenge. This is where the real risk lies. By putting a cinema-grade sensor in a mid-tier hybrid body, Canon risks cannibalizing its own Cinema EOS line. Historically, Canon has been notorious for the cripple hammer, intentionally limiting video specs in hybrids so as not to undercut its dedicated cinema gear. If the R6 III really gets 6K RAW at 60 frames per second and 4K 120, the C50 starts looking less unique. And then there's the competition. Sony's A7 IV is on the horizon, and while leaks suggest it might not push specs as far as fans hope, Sony is still the hybrid king in many creators' eyes. If Canon undershoots on stacked sensor tech or AF improvements, the R6 III risks looking like a half measure in a market that demands boldness. Price segmentation is another minefield. Nikon's Z6 III and Panasonic's S12 are already reshaping expectations at the $2,500 to $3,000 bracket. If Canon overshoots on pricing, say closer to $3,000 USD, they could alienate the very audience that loved the R6 II for being pro enough without the R5 price tag. Finally, there's timing. Canon's own teasers for cinema gear suggest the R6 III may have to fight for the spotlight. Will Canon risk splitting media coverage with its cinema line, or push the R6 III into early 2026 to give the C50 breathing room? Either way, hesitation could cost them momentum. Release and price. So, when does the R6 Mark III actually arrive? The rumor mill points to late 2025, with November dates floating around, specifically the 6th to 16th. However, insiders warn that because the Cinema EOS C50 won't ship until December, Canon might delay the R6 III until Q1 2026, possibly lining it up with the CP Plus trade show in February. As for price, speculation ranges from $2,700 to $3,000 USD. Canon would be wise to stay closer to the lower figure. At $2,700, the R6 III could undercut Sony's A7 IV and tempt hybrid creators looking for maximum value. Push it to $3,000 and suddenly the R5 Mark I or even used R5 IIs become real competitors. That decision alone could make or break the R6 III's success. Final thoughts. The Canon EOS R6. Mark III isn't just another upgrade, it's Canon's biggest risk in years. By chasing cinema-level specs in a hybrid body, Canon risks undermining its own product tiers, upsetting longtime stills-first users, and facing a market where Sony, Nikon, and Panasonic all have compelling answers. And yet, maybe risk is exactly what Canon needs right now. Playing it safe worked for the R6 II, but the industry has shifted. Creators demand cameras that do it all without compromises, at a price that doesn't require a second mortgage. If Canon nails the balance, the R6 III could become the hybrid that defines the next few years. If they miss, if the specs are neutered, the price too high, or the release mistimed, Canon could hand the narrative back to Sony and Nikon. So, is the R6 Mark III Canon's biggest risk ever? Absolutely. But it's also an opportunity. The chance to prove that Canon still knows how to surprise, to disrupt, and to lead. And in a world where patience is running thin and competition is fierce, maybe a gamble is exactly what Canon needs. Do let us know your thoughts about this in the comments. Subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.